Hi. Kachmann couldn't make it today, so he sent the Grinch to give the talk on diabetes today. Happy holidays. And, thanks for your sense of humor. I've been using it all day. Matter of fact, a little earlier today, I played pickleball in it. And I did. They were going to give an award for the most unusual holiday dress. Are you surprised? I won first prize. But anyway, today, to get a little more serious here for a minute, but to me this is a great opportunity how to prevent, stop, and reverse diabetes, and you would then get rid of about 50 other diseases that are related to it. And we accept the disease in this country, in this world, and it's not that hard to prevent most of diabetes. You may be confused at first. There's type 1 and type 2, so let's go. Now we're hearing about type 3. Type 1 is considered to be autoimmune disease with the pancreas, which secretes insulin that pushes sugar into this cell for energy, where it just goes dead totally, and you would die if you could not have the insulin available, and we're thankful it is available. But what most people do not know, that even type 1 diabetes, which is the type we're talking about here, is that it's not just autoimmune disease. A lot of people with type 2 diabetes eventually become type 1 because they develop insulin resistance, and the insulin doesn't work on the pancreas secreting insulin like anything, and it goes dead. So the type 2 becomes type 1. That's really 90% of the type 1 diabetics now are type 1. The pancreas is dead. The interesting thing is that Jason Fung, a book I like to hold up for you, a good one to read, Diabetes Code. He's on YouTube a lot, so you catch him on YouTube. But he's written Obesity Code, Diabetes Code, and excellent books for you to use as references. And what he says in there, even if you've been the type 2 diabetic, where not the type 1, which I explain more detail, that if you start eating right and exercise, you can get rid of the fat in your pancreas and in your liver, and the pancreas wakes up again. It secretes insulin normally, even if you had it for 30 years. Unbelievable. I read that and I jumped in the air when I saw that. But remember, I said type 1 is autoimmune disease. They'll say most of the time, but a lot of times it's because your child or you yourself are drinking a lot of milk. And the proteins in milk, the casein, develops an antibody to it, and it destroys your pancreas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, people who are gluten sensitive or have celiac disease, you can run gluten tests. That's a small part of the population, but they also have type 1 diabetes. So type 1 diabetes isn't all an autoimmune reaction. A lot of it is because the gluten problem, a lot of them are because they're heavy milk drinkers. And remember, cows, milk is not that simple. When the calf is born, it's injected with a drug to make it grow a great deal more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you give milk to your child, guess what? They're getting the growth hormone too. Then they put the calf in a cage. It's growing a lot faster because of the growth hormone. And they put in pesticides and herbicides, and then the child is getting the hormones, the herbicides, the pesticides, the growth hormone from drinking milk. A lot of immune reactions occur to that, and you can destroy the pancreas, become a type 1 diabetic. Milk drinkers more likely have type 1 diabetes in the rest of their life. They have to take insulin. Mm-hmm. It's true. You need to know that. But type 2 is what we're seeing most commonly, and it's spread across the world. China has the most, not the highest rate, but the most because they have at least 1.5 billion people. India is far behind, and because they have the highest number of people. The U.S., probably 90% of the people in the U.S. Have diabetes type 2 generally. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them don't know it. They run this test called HbA1c, which measures blood sugar, what your blood sugars were on the average over a 3-month period. Excellent test to have. But the trouble is that 10, 15 years before that time, your insulin level is elevated. So you could have anticipated your path to diabetes long before, and you get a serum insulin test, which is not generally done at all across the country. Most doctors don't even know this information. Get a serum insulin test. Reason is because on that time that the insulin is elevated, okay, your blood sugar still is normal, changes are occurring in your body. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to increase rates of cancer, numerous things because you have elevated serum insulin. Mm-hmm. And even in children, because a lot of teenagers are getting diabetes, so the diabetes can be avoided. You can switch to eating proper foods, which I'll talk about, and you never get the side effects of that, the chronic diseases. When the Korean War and the Vietnam War, some Americans died, and some Vietnamese and Koreans died. They autopsied both sides, and they found the Americans had streaks in their arteries, although they felt no symptoms from the disease. And the Vietnamese and Korean natives were normal. They were eating different food. So we know this is a pandemic, epidemic in this country and in this world, and we're doing very little about it. So I'd like you to get serum insulin tests. This was actually pointed out many years ago, and I'm only amazed that medicine didn't really jump on this. Is a book which you can probably still get at the library. You see me mention it on every one of my TV shows, but I went to Amazon to buy more copies, and they were not available. But this, to me, is an unbelievably important book, Diabetes Epidemic in You. Should everyone be tested? Remember I talked about the serum insulin? Absolutely not. Only those concerned about their future. You're concerned about the future. You don't want those 50 diseases. You don't want to die young. You don't want to have dementia. You don't want to have kidney disease. Read this book and follow it. Or just listen to this and keep on playing the show. It'll be on YouTube probably in 2 weeks. And keep on looking at this. On my other shows on diabetes. And what he described is, you can read this 2 or 3 days. I read it in a night because I'm used to reading a lot and I know medical terms, but it's written for laymen. Joseph Kraft, wonderful book. And I read this many, many, many years ago. That's the reason I've been an apostle to get rid of diabetes. Don't accept it. Don't just say, oh, these pills work, this shot works, my blood sugars are normal. I want to get rid of the disease. Get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Okay? And he gives the history of it. And if you take insulin shots, you're stuffing the sugar into the cell. And now the cell's got the sugar. You're not solving the problem. And Biogen and Eli Lilly, I think, the biggest producers of it. I believe it could be some other companies, and now many different names for other types of drugs here too. I want to get rid of the disease. And what do I recommend is Rudy's Ketone 16.8. I'm so upset that people are not telling you about how to get rid of this. You should go in for a heart attack in one of our hospitals here, and you got diabetes. They're not going to cure you of your diabetes. They'll just write you a prescription for the medicine to see one of the endocrinologists 4 months later, okay? Read these books and do your own homework. And what he did, he autopsied about 1,200 people, and he looked at the bottom line through the microscope. And then he took about 14,000 people along with other doctors and clinics, and they studied them, their blood sugars, what they were eating in 5 different curves, length of time, type of food, and it's all in that book. And I think it's just great. It's totally consistent with Jason Fung, the diabetes code. Jason was the guy in Canada, a lot of YouTube shows too. He was a kidney doctor. And then he noticed that all the kidney patients were diabetic. Then he said, I might as well become a diabetic doctor, which he has done. And then he started writing a lot of books, and he's on YouTube. And his books are just wonderful. They're on obesity and diabetes and cancer, because cancer is a sugar feeder. Another great book I encourage you to read, Goodbye Pills and Needles. Goodbye Pills and Needles. Remember what I said? We're going to get rid of these drugs and follow lifestyle. Tom Jelinek, he's a PhD. It's really, I consider Kraft's book to be a Bible, and this be Bible number 2. I'm telling you, read these books, and of course, my book. And then, like I said, I'm pushy about getting rid of the disease, but they explain in a very manner easy to understand how to do this. And even Jelinek will bring up metformin. Metformin tells the covering of the cell that you're hungry, and pulls in more sugar. Your sugar level is down. It only drops it a little bit in terms of gluconeogenesis in the liver, so it has side effects. And it discusses in detail those and other drugs in Jelinek's book. And suppose a lot of diabetics are overweight, but 20% of the people who have normal weight still have diabetes, so your blood tests really tell the story. So serum insulins, blood sugars, HbA1c, the amount of information about HSCRP, a good test to have. If your insurance won't pay for it, it wouldn't cost you that much. And then you get to work. You need to gather information. What I'm saying is, don't accept diabetes. Get rid of it. Less chance of a heart attack, less chance of cancer, less chance of dementia. 70-80% of memory loss is related to being diabetic. I just finished doing another 1-hour show on it a little while ago, although on YouTube you could find some more of my old shows on there. You can go to Rudy Kachmann, Mind, Body, and Spirit, and up will come up about a good 500 or 600 of these old shows. You will don't watch all of them, just some of them, maybe just a little bit at a time. You can find me on Facebook also, Rudy Kachmann, Live to Be 100. 10-minute things you can listen to. You watch these regularly, which a lot of people do because they walk up to me in town here, in other places. Now, you wouldn't believe this. I've been flying ever since. I was in contact with somebody from the embassy from India, and they have so many diabetics in that country that they can't afford to pay for it. So they would like to use my information. I think they could have copied it, but they called me. They even sent a guy to my house. They want to take my information, translate it to other languages, and send it throughout India to prevent prevention is the cure. They can't afford all those diabetic complications. And I think it's wonderful. In our area, United States, I'm getting somewhere because people walk up to me and tell me they get rid of their diabetes. But the national paradigm is making so much money, even the medical schools are walking into the hospital area and they think that's where the answer for prevention is when it's not. They're making money from that. I guess it's a business. I look at it that way, but I look at it differently. To me, prevention is the cure. Prevention is the cure. So what do I recommend a diabetic? Firstly, I like this Rudy's War on Diabetes 16:8. Is that fasting, that means you don't eat for 16 hours. I'm not saying miss days or weeks or months. I'm just saying 16:8, okay? In 8 hours, you eat. In the 16 hours, if you're eating good fats, not sugar, your sugar level goes down and your insulin level goes down. And as your insulin level goes down, the cells open up and the fat goes to the liver and is converted to ketones. The brain loves ketones, your muscles love ketones, and you're now in ketone metabolism. You'll feel energetic. You're losing weight like anything. And if you have diabetes, and like I said, you may show body weight as being the main problem, but some of you, the fat is in the liver and the pancreas, but you're thin. But if you're using fat for energy, the fat will leave the pancreas, the fat will leave the liver, and your diabetes will be gone in about a month. No shots, no pills. You're looking good. I mean, it's a tremendous thing. It's not hard to do. I never said you got to restrict calories. This is not about calorie restrictions. This is about eating different food. If you follow the 16:8, I found if you take one of the meals and follow what I said, 65% good fats, 20% protein, 50% fruits and vegetables, you follow that, one of the two meals, that probably might get you well. If it doesn't, then do it for two. And I follow that, and I pick them all in the morning, 4 days a week, or take a walk and sing to the birds, and they sing back. It's true. I'm not hungry. That's because your body secretes hormones in the morning is through circadian rhythm. The dawn is approaching, and growth hormone is secreted from a pituitary, steroids from the adrenal glands, and glucagon from the pancreas. That's the opposite insulin. It keeps your blood sugar like this, and if your blood sugar is like that, you ain't hungry. The appetite is turned off, okay? And then you add my exercise to it, and that also turns the appetite off because steroids are secreted. I didn't have that in mind, but as part of it. So, but then on the drive home, I feel like eating, but I don't follow 100% type of food I talked about. And I might even have a dessert down then, but I'm 135 pounds every time I get up on the scale. It varies very little. That's amazing me. But it's true. So a quick way to get rid of your diabetes, do the fasting, eat good fats, a little bit of protein. But what people don't realize, if people take supplements and the muscle builders and they're eating a lot of protein, they're going to build their muscles. Your body only requires a certain amount of amino acids that makes the muscles, okay? And about 80% of the amino acids are made from muscle fibers that broke down the previous day, okay? Only 20% from your intake. So your body knows how many amino acids that it wants. And what happens if you take in too many amino acids, supplements, pills, is that they get converted to sugar, So what these bodybuilders are doing is think they're fattening themselves up, building muscles. That's actually fat. Mm-hmm. And I know of someone that did that recently. I noticed his body was getting bigger and bigger, and I said, I'm not going to play with you anymore. I was playing tennis. Yeah, significantly younger than me, and then he suddenly died. It makes me kind of wonder whether these extra proteins, these extra amino acids didn't interfere with the circulation to his heart. I wonder. I don't know for certain. But to take protein supplements and too much is not the answer. The answer is to learn what are good fats. You watch some other shows. We're listening from guacamole to olives and develop some recipes that are low in sugar, some protein, but a lot of good fats. And you will be rid of your diabetes quickly. Probably live to be 100 and try to play me in pickleball or tap dance with me. I tap dance regularly to music. I find it relaxes my body. So part of feeling too is stress reduction. A lot of people are stressed and they eat sugar to feel good. It quickly goes to the brain, hits this dopamine center, small center in the front of the brain. I'm in heaven. That's what sugar does. So sugary drinks are just off the table. Okay, that 50% of weight gain is due to sugary drinks. But a lot of us are eating processed food, too, though foods that the fiber has been removed, and we are eating pure sugar, toxic substances, very unhealthy. And all these fast food stores, they sell products that cause you to gain weight. Too much of the wrong fats, bad fats, processed food. And they call it the Perfudo triangle. The Perfudo triangle. Bad fats, too much salt, too much processed food. And if you take your family there once a day, they're all going to be sick. You'll have kids that are overweight. If they're overweight, they got diabetes already. So run the tests, the serum insulins on them, and the blood sugar, the fasting blood sugar, the HbA1c, and find out if your teenager is a diabetic, because they will die young. Mm-hmm. You can prevent all that, but you as a parent must step up to bat, because there's a good chance that your doctor will give you a pill and may not even check his insulin. Maybe starting at age 10, you should be checking those tests at age 4 and 5, because changes are really occurring. The highest obesity rate in this country is between age 2 and 6. Well, when I read that, that was something. I even went to the head of pediatrics, one of the big hospital systems here. I wanted him to promote insulin testing at the state level, because he had been state president one year, but turned out he was not interested. But he's working for a hospital system too, and he was a very smart guy. So I don't know why he wasn't that interested. To me, prevention is the bottom line, not taking a medication, returning the blood level to normal and say, oh, I'm doing great. No, changes are still occurring in your body. Vascular disease is still occurring in your body. I just finished giving a talk on memory loss over the years. And it's kind of interesting. That is related a great deal to sugar metabolism, because it takes a lot of insulin to push the sugar into the cells. The brain loves to run on sugar, but find out, they discovered the last 20 or 30 years, the brain can run on ketones even better. Remember, that's the fat that was metabolized into these little molecules that are smaller than glucose, which the brain loves to run on. So to summarize things that I want you to get rid of your diabetes. So what should you do? Kind of keep a little log, weigh yourself. Don't be close-minded. You might need to change the type of food that you're eating. There are families where everyone is diabetic, and you might say it's genetic. No. It's in our genes. It's in your genes, all right. But because you're all overweight, and some may even be thin, have abnormal blood work. But then you must change. Are you drinking too many sugary drinks? Don't drink the orange juice, okay? You want to eat the orange so that you have the fiber. Orange, I have a relative who's drinking orange juice all the time, and he, at the moment, is undergoing dialysis from his diabetes and may not survive it because he doesn't want a kidney transplant, which would be next. So get the HbA1c, get the HSCRP, that's inflammation in the body, because diabetes causes vascular disease, and then do something about it. Make a goal. If you use the fasting, it'd be very simple to get around to it, and you feel good and energetic, and remember the hormones I told you about that cause this in the morning. So 300 years ago, they didn't eat breakfast. So through evolution, our bodies are designed to eat 3 meals. We now easily could live on 2 meals. That's the quickest way. 16-8, two meals a day. Take a little exercise, take a walk every day, 45 minutes. It makes you feel good psychologically, makes you feel better. When the weather's reasonable, which it has been this year most of the time, but maybe not tomorrow. I take a 45-minute walk in the morning, and I look at the leaves, and I look at the animals, the birds, the deer, and they're whistling back at me. And I look at things in detail, so my mind is de-stressed, and after the walk, I generally feel real good. And then pick up all 4 or 5 days a week. You don't have to do that. Just a walk would be enough, and not to have this plague hanging over you. I mean, there are parts of this country with certain racial groups, ethnic groups, they all got diabetes. Mexico, they all got diabetes. They even put a tax on sugary products because there's so much. But that alone won't do it. The public has to be educated. And if you look at my previous YouTube shows, I gave you the websites to go to. The nation of India is going to go to an app I'm helping design for them. So things are changing, but the people that make some money from you being sick are going to restrain me. They are doing it, but I'm getting somewhere. People walk up to me and say, I no longer have diabetes, don't I look great? Yeah, that happens to me quite a bit. If I were to walk out at Promenade Park, 4 or 5 people come up to me, almost every time, and say that even one girl who was rollerblading there with an Oscar knew me from YouTube and asked me to tap dance with her. And I did. At age 39 for the 47th time. I noticed that too, over getting a day older. As long as you put a smile on your face and you dress decently, age does not make that much difference. I can testify to that. And if you get over your diabetes, you're aging, you'll add 20, 25 years to your life, and you won't have all those disabilities, the canes and amputations and dislocations, which diabetics get, all preventable. Gather information by reading some of these books. look at my TV shows, and none of this will happen to you. I'll be playing pickleball with you. Namaste. I love you. Thank you.